Thank you for joining us so quickly. We made it to Thursday, and I'm super excited to talk to Liz today. So, everyone, welcome to the Tea, the Truth, and a Little Woo conversations with health practitioners, and I've added health advocates to the list. This series of live chats is where we get to know some of the Substackers in the health and wellness realm, the real ones, not AI.
Yeah.
Where we find out about the background of our writer practitioner as them as a human. Maybe you will resonate with something they said or do and will want to subscribe to their newsletter. I strongly suggest you do. And to learn more. So today I have Liz with me. I'm so excited for this. I put the call out on Substack about a month or so ago that I was starting this new series, and Liz reached out. And to be honest, I had not heard of her Substack before. There's so many out there,
so many.
Right? So I wasn't familiar, and I started reading her profile and her content, and I'm like, yes, we need to do a chat. We need to talk to this woman. She has so much information that we need to know about. So a few things about Liz. Her Substack is called Raw Milk Mama. She's an entrepreneur, a permaculture designer, writer, food freedom advocate, and activist. And in her spare time, she's a wife and a mom of 5. So let's get things started. So I want to ask you, really, this is about you, and we can get into part of what you do as well, because that is part of who you are. So I'm going to start with, what is the story behind Raw Milk Mama?
Well, what a great question. And Danny, thanks so much for starting this whole series and getting these voices out there. Because like you, I believe that human to human contact and connection is very important. And it's really hard to filter through that right now.
Yep.
And so getting on here live and getting to see each other and talk to each other in real time is just another testament to hey, I'm human.
Yeah.
So kudos to you for doing this. And I'm thrilled to be here.
Perfect.
So why Raw Milk Mama? Well, I've spent approximately the past 25 years of my life, I'll be 46 this year, working on the raw milk issue. And that's a huge umbrella. So it started for me with the birth and health challenges of my firstborn. And when I realized that raw milk is both healing and wonderful and illegal, I was like, what the heck is going on here? So going from just the small sphere of household and mama and health for my babies into the larger sphere of health for the community and becoming an advocate for people within my community to also get raw milk and teach them about what's going on here and why is this banned? And then that snowballed into the state level and then the national and then eventually international advocacy efforts and really getting into I'm gonna say the role of I know this is a trigger word for a lot of people, but it's a real word and it's real and true, but the use of propaganda in teaching us wrong things.
Yes, absolutely. And the thing that has been going on for decades.
Yes.
Which we do not understand how deep that has gone through.
Correct. And I think a lot of people hear that and oh, I don't listen to propaganda. And that's not true. We're all susceptible to it. And we're susceptible in the things that matter to us.
Yeah.
So it's real and it's true, and we have to be careful and we have to learn the techniques so that we can see them and then apply our worldview to the information we're hearing and then say oh, does this match my values, right? But we can't do that if we don't even know the techniques that are
right.
So
right.
All that to say, the world of raw milk is enmeshed with some decades of propaganda. I'm a huge advocate for safe, clean raw milk and a return to community interdependence, community food systems, and some of the writing that I do focuses on how to peel out those layers of manipulative language.
Yeah, and the interesting thing about this, actually, I'm going to I read, so Liz has a book, Raw Milk Mama. And it talks about the story of raw milk, the history of raw milk, but it does also go into the fact of small local farming and supporting the community and having that food freedom, not just in your milk, but with everything.
Yeah.
And how we have our world, our countries have become so dependent on big corporations to feed us and keep us healthy. Um, I think your voice needs to be amplified in saying we as mothers should be listened to and what we want to do for our children and what we believe is right for the health of our children. I wish I would have known that a little bit earlier in life. It took me a few years to realize that. But I've been, outspoken with a lot of people for over 20 years as well, with my kids finally saying, let's be critical thinkers here, people.
Right.
Right. And that's the most important thing that I want to stress on other people. I want to stress on my children as they grow is we need to investigate and look at why. We need to question the norm going forward.
Absolutely.
Going forward.
Absolutely. Question it.
Yeah. So I want to ask a question in regards to what permaculture is. I don't know if people understand what that word is.
Okay. Well, broadly speaking, it's a huge umbrella term. So you can hear it in a lot of different contexts. And essentially what you can a very easy definition is ecological design. So permaculture can apply to a city lot that is growing food or growing pollinator crops.
Okay.
Or it can apply to a 10,000 acre cattle ranch. You can apply the principles of permaculture on any scale and any level. And it's looking at, if you look at permaculture in terms of, let's overlap a little bit with business, right? So the principles are people, planet, profit. If you look at those principles within that sphere, you're looking at how does this benefit people? How does it benefit the planet? And is it profitable? Because if it's not, it won't continue.
Right.
So it's looking at some of the core principles and developing whatever you're growing with those in mind. And some of those other principles are what's growing where you are already. How do you incorporate that? How do you stack functions? And how do you get what you want from it? So
Right.
a lot of times people begin in permaculture because they want to grow food for humans, and that's great. And then they have to battle the chipmunks and the groundhog and everything else. So how do you incorporate that into the plan and the design of what you're building? And it's also like really not as hard as it sounds.
Right.
I mean, it is, but it's not, because permaculture is happening all around us all the time in ways that we both see and can't see. And also, there's some biomimicry involved in that. Biomimicry, that's a big word just to say, like, what's happening in nature and how can we replicate that?
Right. Right.
So
Okay.
when you look at an ecosystem, like, I will never be able to grow tropical plants where I am without a huge amount of inputs. So I'm not going to try to grow tropical plants. I'm going to see what's naturally growing here and say, okay, how can I replicate that in an intentionally designed way that honors the ecosystem and the community in the ecosystem, whether that's
Okay.
all people or people, plants, and animals. Like, what are my goals? What am I looking at? How do I design with those things in mind?
Okay. So how did that transition from you being the advocate for raw milk and safe and clean raw milk into going into permaculture and food freedom? Was it just a natural process? Did you just start digging into that hole and thinking, oh my goodness, like there is so much information here that people need to be educated about? And how does it all intertwines at some point, I guess.
Yes, it does. Well, I mean, again, Danny, great questions. And I know that you see things holistically as well. And a piece of it was, okay, here I am, a young mom. Not anymore, but then I was.
You're still young. You're still young.
A mom with young children. How about that? And I looked around and I'm like, okay, so I think it was like on my third pregnancy, I'd already started the raw milk and grass fed and local food for my others. And I'm pregnant with my third, and I'm like, oh, look, I can go to within a 5-mile radius of me. I have hundreds of fast food joints, liquor stores, convenience marts, um, and gas stations where I can buy stuff that's not even food. And nowhere except for what I created could I get local farm fresh food. And that was typical. That's typical of suburbia
Yeah.
America. And I thought there's something so inherently wrong with this. I can drink myself to death while pregnant. I can smoke a pack a day or more if I want to. I can feed my children fast food and lollipops and soda pop all day long, but I can't get good, clean, safe raw milk without driving for 2 hours. Like it was so nonsensical. And as I explored that thought process more, I'm like, okay, well, how do we incorporate local foods into our neighborhood, our communities? How do we create food security? Because at the same time, like, this, like, we're going to tell people, oh, eat this, not this. But what happens when that supply chain is disrupted? What happens if there's an ecological disaster and we can't get that food anymore because we can't drive 2 hours? There's a mudslide or a hurricane or whatever. Like, whatever the situation is, we don't have any food security. None.
Yeah.
Very few people do. Even the people on homesteads producing a lot of their own calories, et cetera, et cetera. There's still very little actual food security. And so permaculture is the answer to that. And it's an evolution, right? Because you have the concepts of permaculture that we need to practice permaculture. We need to do this and get our hands in the dirt wherever we are.
Yeah.
We need to change our diets as much as possible to get local, clean, healthy foods. And then there's the advocacy piece. And these are 3 legs of the stool, right?
Yeah.
Where if our policies are still criminalizing certain foods or making it impossible to get local grass-fed beef because of the slaughter system, then as much as we tell people, like you and I, we're advising clients all day long, like, eat this, not this. And we're going to tell them, go get grass-fed beef. And they're like, well, it's $30 a pound for burger because of blah, blah, blah. Like, it's not going to work unless we have those other pieces in place.
Right. And you can tell them to go, get these foods, but yet it's not within the local, farming community. So a lot of these places now, you go online and you order it from across the country or across the world or whatever. You're not really supporting any of that permaculture either, or having that food security, because at one point shipping may stop and now you can't get that from wherever you're trying to get that from. So,
or become exorbitantly expensive, or maybe you just get tired of having a mountain of styrofoam boxes that are gut-wrenching to throw away. I mean, there's so much wrong with the current paradigm of like, oh yeah, just get my meat shipped in from 3,000 miles away.
Yes.
No, like, build where you are.
Well, we see that even as the government and works together with the food supply. Like, I'm Canadian, I'm living currently in the US, but we export our stuff outside of the country more than we keep it in our country. And then we import food from outside the country when we could be producing it within to me, it's just maddening. It doesn't make any sense.
You're right. It doesn't make any sense except for that piece of it being controlled by really big industrial companies. And then we get manipulated with the propaganda.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. So I'm just going to look at some of these comments that come up. So Mama Carol says, yes, back in time, the Japanese Americans all raised their foods as farmers. That's what I remember. We all had vegetable gardens and shared our produce. And that's the important thing, is that you shared it with your neighbors. You had the barter system, right? It was like, well, I'm going to do chickens, so you can come for eggs. And if you want, bring me whatever you have in your garden at the time, some carrots and onions, whatever. There was that system of connection and community. And even in the book, you talk about, in Russia, the milkman who, went into the city and was selling his milk to the community. Like, things like that are just not there anymore.
Right. And I also make the argument in the book how vital the small dairy is to different communities because, like, I love vegetables. I will advocate all day long for eating vegetables, and they're just not providing the nutrition that we absolutely need. And dairy does provide some of that nutrition. And think about this. I mean, it's wild when you think about it. Like, we cannot eat grass,
No.
but cows and goats and sheep and to some extent camels and water buffalo, they take that thing that we can't eat that grows abundantly and they turn it into this amazing food, which then, like, just milk is amazing. But then what happens when milk gets older? Well, it turns into cheese. So you have this thing that we can't eat that grows abundantly, and this animal that magically turns it into something delicious and nutritious.
Yeah.
And that centers a community, right? That milk and eggs, that can provide food security for communities.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
absolutely.
it replicates. You know what happens? Every year, a cow has a calf.
Yeah.
Then you get more milk and some meat. So it's this like natural system of interdependence, and it anchors a community in food security. So that's the argument I make in the book, that the micro dairies, even on the level of like 1 or 2 cows in a household or in a very small community, that can create food security for a good number of families.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Absolutely. So I'm going to just switch a question here in regards to the dairy and what you know for your education in delving into this. So one of the things that we were taught in nutrition school, and so over the years, I realized some of the things we were taught is not true because I've done my own research. But
Yeah.
one of the things that we were taught and was amplified by a few people is that as humans, we are the only mammal that does not drink or drinks the milk of other mammals. And that's not right. Now,
it's also not true, because if you've ever been to a dairy farm, those dogs and cats will take full advantage of any milk that leaks out or drops out or whatever. So it's just very much not true. And
yeah, I feel like this is
yeah,
part of the propaganda part of it, right? Is that they didn't want you to eat or drink those foods. And so this is what they said as an ethical thing. You know, humans aren't meant to drink the milk of another mammal.
yeah, it's just not true. I mean, in general, animals are very opportunistic about getting calories because calories are hard to come by and we have to work really hard to get them in general, right? Not anymore with industrial ag. And so having another animal that you can benefit from there.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And absolutely other animals will drink another animal's milk. 100%. And it's common. It's part of nature. And we have co-evolved with domesticated cattle for something like 10,000 years now. So they benefit from us, we benefit from them.
Yeah.
And it's a situation that works and provides us food security.
Yeah. I actually did a post on my Substack probably about 6 months ago on just the humble cow, like this animal that was presented to us as humans to feed and nurture us.
Yeah.
Right. And so, yeah, it was very, very interesting for me to go into that history of how long they've been nurturing the human body for. Right. So, and that goes for meat, that goes for everything. Right. It's their meat, it's their milk, it's their, hide. It's, this animal is very beneficial to the population and the human race as it is. So, yeah, I just thought it was such an interesting comment to be told in school. And then when you put it that way, it's like, mammals are opportunistic and they will, drink what is there. Like you said, cats and dogs on the farm or whatever, they're having the cow's milk or the sheep milk or the goat milk. So,
yeah.
So I want to ask just a couple like quick sort of rapid fire. Well, they're not really, you don't have to think of them as rapid fire. You can explain them, whatever. So what is one thing you want people to know about our current food system?
One.
I know.
I woo! That it's our current food system is so heavily industrialized, and it really takes peeling back the layers of industrialization to get at what is actually normal for humans. And one area to start, okay, what's coming to mind is one area to start is our our current meat slaughter situation. So basically, very like in a nutshell, and I've written about this extensively, so several of my articles explain this more. But our meat slaughter situation favors four huge, basically monopolies, and we absolutely need to shift that. And the way to do that is both policy and personal choice. So, Prime Act is a bill in Congress that would allow custom slaughter facilities that are regulated on the state level and they have safety and they have humane slaughter practices as part of that, would allow those slaughter facilities to butcher animals and farmers can sell by the cut. This is a complex topic, but it's super important for more Americans to understand because right now in our food system, our capacity and situation for slaughter is very vulnerable. So,
Yes.
one big highlight, check into the meat slaughter situation and the Prime Act.
Now, is that so? I'm not super familiar with the whole how regulations work in the US, but even though it's a federal act, do the states have more say or control and can do things differently?
No, not really.
Okay.
And because our interstate commerce clause has just gone haywire, that's what says that the states can engage in commerce together. So anything that crosses state lines is now federal.
Okay. Okay. Very
Yeah.
interesting. Very interesting. Um, now these are just some fun questions.
Yeah.
What brings you joy?
Oh, goodness. Flowers and tea and herbs, all kinds of herbs, and baking and cooking and talking to other people like you who are involved in this and uh, helping out at farms and milking cows and hugging cows and weeding crops. I mean, I know that sounds dumb and boring, but oh my gosh, you can learn so much actually getting that close to the ground in the food that you're producing. Um, a lot of things, babies,
Yeah.
like a lot.
And it's funny, I've asked this question before, and it's always something that is um, nature related for people, and interacting with people, and that part of joy is missing from a lot of people's lives these days. So we need to get out there more. We need to dig in the dirt more, and get connected and grounded. So that's great. Um, so sweet or salty?
Yes. No, salty. Yeah, I mean, the occasional sweet, but
Yeah, you're more of a salty person? I am
absolutely.
too. I am too. Early bird
We
or
gotta
night
get our minerals, right?
that's right.
And our electrolytes.
Yeah. Early bird or night owl?
Oh, early. Abso-freaking-lutely. Like, catch me at 7 AM, you're good. Catch me at 7 PM. Nope.
That's a long, busy day for you. You
I mean, I think, have you ever looked into chronotype, which is like your sleep pattern?
not no, but
It's super fun to just look into that. But I realized a while back, like, I was like, why am I so sleepy at like 8 PM? Well, because my body wants to literally be asleep at 9 every night.
yeah,
And when I stopped fighting that and started protecting it, I felt better.
better. Yeah. And I think everybody's different. Like
Exactly.
I prefer to be up early and go to bed early, where my husband, he could be up late and sleep. I mean, everybody is just very different in that way. So
Yeah.
are you an ocean or a mountain person or something else?
Forest.
Mm.
Definitely forest.
I've been doing some reading lately on forests and the green light that comes through the leaves. Something you just never think about either, right? How important the different colors of light are to your overall health. And
Yeah.
what's the word? I can't think of the word that they call it. I'll think of that anyhow. Um, if you could
What about
travel,
you?
what is my I am an ocean. I love the water. Where I grew up in Canada and BC, we had multiple lakes, like freshwater lakes around us all the time. And so when I moved to a province that did not have lakes, it was very hard not to be around the water.
Yeah.
So I'm just it just calms me. The water just calms me.
Yeah.
Always has. So, but I like the mountains too. We
Yeah.
also lived by the mountains, so there's a bit of both. But I would definitely go to an ocean or a lake somewhere instead of before anything else. So, um, what is your favorite book? And you can't say the one that you wrote.
Okay. So favorite book. Wow. Well, I'm also a little bit of a literature nerd. That is actually what I studied in college.
Okay.
So, can I do a favorite author?
Yes, yes, you can do a favorite author.
All right, that will be tied between Graham Greene, who's like one of the dead white guys that literature refers to, and Emily Dickinson. And they're very
Okay,
different, but they've both influenced me enormously in my writing and in my thinking.
right.
Uh, so those two are way up there, tied for favorite. Graham Greene and Emily Dickinson.
Okay.
And I'd recommend anything by either of them. Emily Dickinson, of course, being a poet, so her books are either really tiny or really big.
Yeah, yeah. And Graham Greene, I've never heard of him. So what is his um platform? Like what does he write about?
He's a fiction writer. He wrote some
Okay.
short stories and then he
Okay.
wrote some longer novels.
Okay.
And the best way I can describe it is that they're very punchy. Like he builds the story and then bam. And
Okay.
it's really, really like you really sit with it and think and explore your own views. And very influential to me from a
Yeah.
very early age.
Interesting how, again, things that we read growing up, how it can influence us as we get older and how we portray ourselves and what we focus on and what we want to our values that we want to portray to other people, family members and stuff. So and that's something that unfortunately that younger generation is not getting
Yeah.
is picking up a book and reading a book.
Yeah.
And I worry, I feel sad for the, younger generation of kids coming into this world and not becoming the critical thinkers that they should be.
Yeah.
That's my worry. So,
And, I think one of the things um, thanks, Sean. I just saw a comment, Sean. Graham Greene is one of the greats. He really is. Um, but also when it comes to reading, read what you like. And, there have been so many times that somebody's recommended like one of those big, tense, dense tomes to me. And I'm like, yeah, I really should read this. And I just can't. I don't enjoy it. And that's okay.
yeah.
It's really okay.
Yeah.
Read what you like.
Yeah,
Um,
find your niche.
yeah. And if that's fiction or fantasy, great. Just read what you like,
Yeah.
but read.
Exactly.
Yeah.
There's a few other little comments. So Kathleen, it's forest bathing. That's what it is when you walk
Yeah.
through the forest. Anyhow, just a couple other comments. Of course, Kathleen says they did it so they would have less facilities and farmers can't afford to get their herds there. It's too costly. They're cutting back. So
Yeah.
that's in regards to
The slaughter
the
facility.
slaughter.
Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, as a final word, what is the message that you'd like to get out to people?
Oh, that food security matters a lot and it takes our intentional long-term focus. And it's so easy to get distracted by the bright lights and the flashy headlines. But when it comes down to it, food security is a practice that is centering. It's literally and figuratively grounding. And it's something that we can incorporate no matter what else is going on in the rest of the world. We can incorporate food security in our households and communities by really getting back to the basics.
And it only ever takes it just takes little steps at a time. Like, you just start with little things, whether you try to source out a local farmer's market, get out there and talk to the farmers and see how they farm, what they're doing. They love if you've gone to a farmer's market and talked to farmers and ranchers, they love to talk about what they do.
Mhm.
They love to educate you in what they're selling. So, yeah, that's a perfect message to end on. And I want to say to everybody, if you don't, um, well, if you want to learn more about raw milk and the history, the history for me, because again, this wasn't something that we were aware. I mean, in Canada, raw milk is illegal. It is illegal. Not even. I don't even think there's a black market for it. There's nothing there. So the
There
history of
is, there is, there is.
Oh, okay. um, the history, the information, the black market part. This is just such a very interesting book, and it really gets you thinking about for the whole food security and permaculture, and how we can work together with small farmers to create a healthy environment for everybody.
Yeah.
Your website is Nourishing Liberty.
NourishingLiberty.com.
Okay, .com.
Mhm.
Awesome.
Thank you so much, Danny. This
Thank
has
you,
been
Liz.
so
This
wonderful.
was great. And I would honestly love to do this again, where we can get really into more depths about the bureaucracy and a little bit more about the raw milk, what's going on behind the scenes, because
Absolutely.
that also is very interesting. So thank you to everybody that joined us, and thank you for all your comments. I truly appreciate it. Make sure you go and follow Liz on her Substack. She's got some great articles on there. And everybody have a great day and a great weekend. Thank you, Liz.
Thanks, Danny. Bye-bye.
Bye.